Tracy, you should have the link now.
Okay, I'm waiting for it to come through. It just came through. Published it. Let me go verify it is working correctly. Good to go.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mike, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear it.
Good, Mike. Diana?
I'm good.
Sheila?
Good.
Let's see. How about you, Beth? Can you hear us? Yeah, Beth is here. Okay.
Raymond, you have a quorum. You can start your meeting. The only person we're missing is Dr. Eczema.
All righty. Are you ready, Doctor?
I am ready, sir. You can begin.
All right, I'd like to call this meeting to order. Please note any comments by the public are welcome and can be emailed to publiccomment@lsbme.la.gov. Jacinda or Olivia, please confirm you verify the identity of all tele and video conference participants.
Yes, sir, I have.
Is the sound clear and audible to the public and those on the tele and video conference?
Yes, sir.
All additions to the executive or public agenda must be made presently, as we will no longer make additions to the agenda after the close of the public session. There is nothing to add at this time.
Did you want to add that issue of the compact?
Oh, excuse me. Under new business, I'd like to add item number 3, Dr. Van to speak on compact licensure. Do we need to take a vote on that, Doctor, or is that?
It should be unanimous by the rules of public meetings, sir.
All right.
I make a motion that we add that agenda item.
Second. Okay,
There
second.
has been an opportunity for public comment, if there is any.
Before you vote, you need a public comment, but did you get your second?
Yes, second.
Yes.
All right, so there's no
Okay.
public comment at this time.
All right. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, the item agenda has passed. Okay, we'll move on to roll call and quorum confirmation. Diana?
Okay, Dr. Eczema. Sheila Guidry.
Yeah.
Elizabeth Hamilton. And I saw her listed here.
Yeah.
I see it.
She's-
Myself, Mike Nolan,
Here.
Raymond Peasney,
Here.
Brett Stafford,
Here.
and then as other attendees, I have Dr. Van, I have
Here.
Phyllis Johnson. I saw her listed.
She's on the, she's muted right now. She probably doesn't realize it.
Okay, Priscilla Bartholomew, I saw her
Here.
listed too. Thank
Yes,
you.
I'm here.
Patricia Wilson,
I'm here.
and I have Tracy Morrow as IT,
Yes, ma'am.
and I have a Lauren Saduth.
Hi, yes, I'm an attorney here at the board.
Okay. Attorney. And that's all I had listed and no guest.
So yes, I'm unmuted now. Phyllis Johnson is here.
Okay, thank you, Phyllis. I saw your name. Good
Yes, ma'am.
morning.
Good morning.
We have quorum all present.
Right. Is there any public comment at this time, Doctor?
No, sir, there are not.
All right, so we'll move on with the agenda and we'll start with old business, the approval of the minutes from September 18th, 2023. Did everybody have a chance to
I
review
make a
those
motion.
in their packet?
I make a motion.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor from Mike to accept the minutes as presented. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Sheila Guidry. Is there any discussion? All right, since then you're ready to vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, item number 2 under old business, revisions to rules and regs. And we can kind of combine that with item 3, follow-up, the request for travel reimbursement. At our last meeting, we had requested that the board consider reimbursing us for travel expenses to work on rules and regs in person. Attached, you will see in the packet is the minutes from the board meeting that they held where Dr. Brand and Dr. Van brought this forward, and our request has been denied by the board, and it was a unanimous vote. So, with that being said, Dr. Van, would you like to comment or explain to us how the other disciplines are working on their rules and regs via Zoom?
Yes, sir. The OT community has probably been the most active. They are meeting almost every month, even though they're not required to get their rules done. They are doing a complete stem to stern, top to bottom overhaul. The PAs tried it. They did not meet a lot, but so we just worked around them and did the best we could. We want you to understand that we believe Zoom works. We believe it's a functional entity. Yes, it's nice to be together, but given the cost involved and our inability to, we are really trying to trim things to the bone because we have been dipping into reserves in an unreasonable fashion, and we can't continue to do that. We will happily set these things up and understand that whenever these meet under the new law, we have to have an anchor location. And that's an issue that we have to deal with, but we are not limited to the number of times. So the anchor location requires that it be during the regular working hours so that I don't have to pay overtime, and the public can attend those meetings if they choose to. So we do have to have a little security in the building during that time, and we try and have security whenever we have a public meeting like that. But again, I think we're willing to work with you all in days and times that makes everybody comfortable. And like I said, this is not something you're going to do in 2 days. You're not going to do it in 3 days, but we'll take one section at a time and make it work, and then keep moving through the process until we get all of your laws that you want to change, like we've talked about, comfortable for you all. And then Ms. Wilton will do her usual expertise in making this all palatable in APA language, and then we'll present it to the board and start the process if they approve it.
How long is the commitment meeting for each month, Dr. Van?
I will tell you that the OTs are generally meeting for, they have a little business meeting if they are longer than if they need to do it. And they generally spend, usually it goes from 10 until 1. and they like Fridays, once a month. That means I got 3 more Fridays in most months to give you all if y'all want to choose that day.
Fridays, not good.
Well, Fridays are not good for me, but we'll have to take a
Mondays are
poll.
fine for us. I just, if you want to set this up on a recurring basis, we'll make sure the schedules for all of us reflect the ability to make sure it supports you in those meetings.
Yeah. What I think we'll do on this, unless anybody has any objections, we'll do a doodle poll and see what day of the week works best and what time. I guess a 3-hour time frame would be good. So we'll send that out and see how we can set this up.
And look, if you want to pick a Monday afternoon, you want to work from, 1 to 4, something like that. I just got, I can't engage a lot of overtime, which means, we got to close at closing hours. So we're happy to work it out in the morning, in the afternoons, middays, whatever works for you all.
And we can set those up before our next board meeting, Doctor. You don't have to
Absolutely.
come back and get a approval in a meeting,
No.
correct?
No, not unless one of your members wants to do that. I think you should be empowered to make the decision based upon the rules. I mean, the results of the doodle poll, and we'll set it up. But if the board members of the advisory committee members want to weigh in after the doodle poll, then you'll have to ask them how they want to do it. From our perspective, you tell us what y'all want, and we're going to do it.
Is there any discussion from any of the committee members on this process?
Well, obviously we could not use our first option, so we don't have much choice but to do Zoom. So I'm in favor of getting it done, and so we'll be done with this. It's time that we start working on it and get it done however we can. We can just, try and see how it works.
Do we need to pass a vote on this, Dr. Van, or?
Whatever your advisory committee wants, you say if they're just if you want a motion that says we'll do a doodle poll and pick the day based upon the doodle poll, the chairman is empowered to make the decision and advise the agency. Well, that's fine with us too. It's the committee's pleasure.
Yeah, you don't have to have a vote on that. That's just your agreement that that's what you're going to do.
Okay.
Okay, and one more question here. So Dr. Van, if we decide to meet monthly and do something similar to what the OT committee has done, do we have to meet quorum on this? Or is this a working group? And if we have 6 of us show up, good deal. And if we have 3 of us show up, good deal.
Okay, you have two, Dr. Van, I'm gonna jump in if you don't mind.
Please do.
You have 2 options. If you want to designate a specific work group to work on this, that becomes its own public body. And if there are 3 people on that work group, you have to make sure that 2 of you show up. You would have to have an independent quorum for that work group. And you would those would be public meetings. If you want to have the full committee review these things, if you end up at a meeting with less than a quorum, you can discuss, but you can't take action.
Okay.
So it would still be a public meeting. You could still discuss things, but you couldn't actually vote and make any decisions at that time. You'd have to reserve those for a future meeting at which a quorum attended. Those are your 2 options.
Thank you.
And Ms. Wilton, if that should occur, we say our next monthly meeting before we proceeded, if we had a quorum, we could vote on that then.
On whatever is on your agenda and duly before you. For instance, the OTs will say next month our agenda is going to include sections 1 through 10 of the rules. They will come, they will discuss that chunk of their rules. They will determine if they want to what changes, if any, they want to make, and they'll vote on those at that time because it's been duly noticed and put before the public that it will be considered.
And then operationally, just so Deanna will understand what they do, is they chose a color coded as they make changes into the rules. They put in red as a change. Once they approve it, it's green. We keep the old language struck out so that as we move through this, everybody can see what's going on and can keep up. And then when you finally get to the end, Miss Pat takes the green strikeouts and everything and combines them into a unified document. So that way, along the way, if you ever want to go back and say, well, what did we change back here? You can see the strikeouts, you can see what was approved, and that way you can continue to keep a kind of a unified concept as you move through the process over the months.
And for better or worse, they have a lot more rules than you all. So if you wanted to devote an hour or 90 minutes to a rules review, I suspect you could knock this out in three or four meetings.
Thank you. Any
Uh,
further?
Raymond, I don't know if you noticed, but Beth posted that this will be her last meeting. She's chosen not to renew her license.
Okay.
So keep that in mind. We'll have one less person for on the committee.
Let me check something while y'all discuss that.
No,
Is her term expiring?
No,
She chose to.
She just
step
wanted
down.
the qualifications.
Yeah, she won't meet the qualification. The qualifications for appointment, do they still have to be licensed to maintain? Isn't that right, Pat?
Yes.
yes. And Dr. Van, she last year, when she lost her husband, she let us know that she would like to get off this board. She's had a lot going on this last year with life in general. So we've kind of known about it. And I think there were some more names that were submitted to the governor's office. Just it hadn't been moved on. And so
it has been moved on by the governor's office. The boards and commission had sent them their packet of information. The two individuals that have contacted me, they've submitted it to the Senate. So, and I put a call into the lady, and her name escapes me at this time at the boards and commission. Dr. Van, Roz Moore.
Roz Moore she has left. She was a appointee of the former governor. I will find out who is now in charge. If it's Kate, I'll talk to Kate and get it squared away, and I'll make sure they do what they need to do to finalize it. The former governor liked to appoint only around June and July, but the governor can appoint whenever they want, and this governor will do what he wants to do, and we'll see what we can do to get it taken care of for you.
Appreciate it, Dr. Van. And I can send you the names of those two individuals.
Right.
Yeah, because originally Beth had said that she would stay on till she was replaced, until the governor replaced it. But it's taken so long, and she's saying that her license expires at the end of this month.
it expires at the end of March. Her birthday's next month, along with mine.
Okay, March. Okay.
Okay. All right, so we've completed the old business. Is there any old business anybody would like to bring up?
Well, Raymond, it's probably not old business new, but since we were talking about the last LSBME board meeting, I think we all received something that the LSBME was going to look at the adjustment of fees. Dr. Van, did that happen at the last meeting?
It has been happening at meetings regularly, but at the last meeting, it did not happen.
Okay. So fees are status quo as of right now.
That is correct.
Thank you.
Staff's recommendation that everybody should go up 20%. The board has been wrestling with that for 2 years, but at the present time, nothing is changing.
Okay.
Okay, is there any other old business anybody would like to discuss? Dr. Van, is there any public comment?
No, sir, there's no public comment at this time.
All right, so we'll move on to new business and licensing personnel, Phyllis Johnson and Phyllis Bartholomew. Is there anything that y'all would like to bring to the committee's attention for review?
No, not at this time. And her name is Priscilla Bartholomew.
I apologize.
That's okay.
All righty. Number two, we have our upcoming meetings are scheduled for May 13th, 2024, August 5th, 2024, and November 18th, 2024.
Now, it's my understanding those are already on the schedule, and we're kind of locked into those. But if you're going to change all of your meetings to a different time while you do this process, just Miss Olivia will change that to reflect everything.
Thank you, Doctor. Is there any public comment?
No, sir, there is no public comment.
We did add an item 3 prior to the start of the meeting, and to include Dr. Van to speak on compact licensure information that he received.
Yeah, so I was contacted by the formation committee, the actual foundations. They're getting started. They're going to be meeting March the 11th. I will be traveling to the meeting in Kentucky. I think that they are beginning the process. They really have nothing. And just to give you a time frame, the OT has had they are much further advanced. Obviously, they're way past just starting, and they are running into times they're not getting it done. I think the key that I bring is the concept of understanding the regulatory side of it. I think that's why they asked me, but they didn't really say. They just invited me. The board has authorized me to appear and go to those meetings, incur that travel expense because we think it will benefit our licensing agency and our respiratory therapists. Understand that there has been some issues relative in some states, but it's not going to be an issue relative to ours because some states are using things like permissions as opposed to licensor, but the law says permit is a license. So for us, it'll be a license in Louisiana, and we will make sure that it works for you all. My goal is to make it as streamlined as possible for qualified people to get into Louisiana to assist you all. The downside of it, so you will know, and we'll have to, I'll be telling them as well, is that you're going to have a lot of people that are going to try and do telehealth respiratory therapy. And again, you know as well as I do that that's rather limited in its ability, but nonetheless, I think that's where you'll see a vast majority of it. Some of it may be things like education, consultation, and that sort of thing. But again, that's where these rules and all of those things are going to come in because we have a rule for the doctors, for example, that says if you have a telemedicine certificate or a license in Louisiana, you can't even have an office in Louisiana, and you have to have arrangements for a local physician to handle any of your complications and problems. So again, I'm not sure what that law is going to be because so everybody understands they ultimately come to a conclusion of what the law wants to be, and I anticipate that is 18 months to probably 30 months away. And when that law is settled on, every state passes the same law. If state X can't modify it because QRS and all have already adopted it, it can't be changed. So whatever the law is will be the law in Louisiana for those compact licensees or permittees, however they choose to call it. Once that's established, the law is established, each legislature has to usually pass a law and make that the most recent expression of the law in Louisiana. We would do that as well. So the other thing you need to understand is they will set up the criteria to make it easier. And I will be urging them, because when they run into some trouble in the OT compact, and that's one of the delays they have, is they never anticipated the issue of criminal background check. And we in Louisiana and most states are requiring criminal background checks. There's only about 4 or 5 states that aren't doing criminal background checks at this time. And that's where the OTs are running into problems. But again, I think that's why they asked me, because I have all of those regulations and those. And again, I hope to represent you all fairly and get this done as fast as possible so that those of us that need help will maybe be able to get people who can travel in from Texas or Arkansas, Mississippi to assist you in real time. And then there'll be some telehealth as well. That's about where we are at this point. It's just getting started.
Dr. Van, what organization is that again?
Oh, I don't have it at the top of my head, but it is an organization that is working with all of these compact license. It's a law firm that does this, and they organize these things. First, they get the associations to be in favor of it. Then they start the organization, and it basically is a law firm that does all of this. And then it's out of a. I'll get it. Give me a minute, and I'll look for it, and I'll get that answer for you in a little bit.
That's okay, but you're traveling to a meeting in Kentucky when?
March 11th.
Okay, that's fine. I'm just gonna say going to a meeting March 11th in Kentucky.
You know, the name of the group is going to be the Council of State Governments Center of Innovation.
Council of State Government Innovation. Okay.
Thank you, Raymond. I forgot.
And they have given a federal grant to the AARC to work on this as well. And there'll be representatives, respiratory therapists appointed to this board as well. The AARC will be represented, COARC will be represented, AARC, and I don't know what other groups, but they'll be there as well. They'll be at the table. Are there any other questions for Dr. Van on the compact licensure? Okay. Is there any public comment at this time, Doctor?
1 second, sir. And there is none.
Okay, there's no further new business to discuss. I'd like for a motion, someone to offer a motion for us to enter executive session.
A motion.
I have a motion on the floor from Sheila. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Brett. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, at this time, we'll wait to the LSBME enters us into executive session. I assume there's no public comment, Doctor.
No, none at all, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm moving everyone now to executive session. You should have the join button at the bottom of your screens now to go. Beth, are you on a cell phone? There you go. Tracy, I'm gonna leave you out of executive session.
Sounds good.
Looks like everybody is back in. Are we back streaming, Dr. Collada, or do we stream after this? I don't remember.
Go ready to make whatever motions you need to make.
All right. Diana, can you start with our first one, please?
Okay, so for case 101-082, I make a motion that this individual needs to retake the entry-level exam to get a current credential and apply for her license.
Do I have a second?
I'll make the second.
Second by Mike Nolan. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion, oh, hold on. Yeah, motion carries.
And Mr. Peasney, just to be clear, there was no public comments before you voted.
Thank you, sir. All right, our next one, Diana.
For case 5167, I make a motion that we defer this individual to investigations for review and coordinate a recommendation for the individual getting their license.
Do I have a second? Second by Beth. All in favor?
Wait a minute, Mr. Peasney, you have no public
Nope.
comment.
Thank you, sir. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
All right. For the RT assistant / student worker, I make a recommendation that we present an advisory opinion to be drafted by Ms. Wilton. That would be given to Raymond Peasney for review and then sent to the board of directors for approval for posting at their March 25th meeting.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Brad. Is there any public comment, doctor?
No, sir, there's no public comment at this time.
All in favor?
Uh,
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries.
In regards to respiratory therapist training, I'd like to make a motion that a letter be drafted with Dr. Van and Dr. Wilton that it is inappropriate for RTs to train nurses to perform RT job responsibilities.
Do I have a second? Oh,
It would be better if you don't mind that we determine the best way to communicate that, whether it be by a letter, statement of position, or whatever, and the board will approve that.
Okay. So draft a
Utilize the best effective means of communication to clarify this situation for the issue. I mean, I think Ms. Wilton will make that decision with me, and the board will approve it.
okay.
okay. Do I have a second? Second by Beth. Any public comment?
No, so you have no public comment.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
And then the last, the regulations have not been enabled for the NBRC not giving out the pass rates or attempts prior to 2015 and currently unable to get the advanced practitioner pass rates on the clinical sims that we have Dr. Van Raymond follow up with Lori Tinkler, and that we as a committee look at that when we get ready to address rules, but also to stay consistent with the rest of the LSBME as best we can. I don't know how to put that one.
I think you said it fine.
Okay.
Is there any vote that's needed on that, doctor? Or is that just a recommendation?
We would appreciate a vote.
All right,
And you have
Diana?
no public comment at this time.
All right. Do I have a second on Diana's motion?
Can,
Second, Sheila. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Was that the last item for,
That's it.
that's it? All right, I'd like to thank everybody for their time. Be looking for the doodle poll that'll be coming out for the rules and regs, and we'll go from there. Have a motion to
Everybody,
adjourn?
appreciate your help and all your time you devote to us.
Thank you. Motion to adjourn.
Bye-bye.
Diana, do I have a second?
second.
Good.
Second, Sheila. All in favor?
Ah.
All right, no public comment, huh, Doctor?
No, sir, none at all.
Thank y'all.
Thank y'all. Have a good week.
Thank you.